Good morning. We're going to kick it and get moving here. My name is Warren Jones, and I'm the Vice President of Construction for Travaux. And with me is Scott Simon. He's the Vice President of Business Development for Travaux. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what Travaux is and where we came from and a little of our short history. As you can read, Travaux is a real estate company with a social mission. What that really means is that we look for projects that are going to enhance public benefits, whether it's for affordable housing, whether it's for schools, whether it's for community centers, something that has a positive benefit for many people. Travaux is a word that's actually based on a French word for public works. So our president and CEO came back from a trip to Paris one day and said, that's going to be the name of the company. So there's no mystery to how it came about. He said, make it so, and we did. So the structure of Travaux is we have a board of directors headed by Mark Wagner, who's the chairman of the board. Our president and CEO is Antonio Perez. Scott is listed on the left. I'm in the middle, as usual. And Greg Anderson is our vice president of asset management. So at some point in the future, we're going to have an asset management arm, and Greg will head that up. So they'll be managing the properties that we develop and build. Basically, we've been incorporated since 2015. And really on the ground since 2017. Our history is that for 24 years prior to that, the Housing Authority of the City of Milwaukee did their own real estate development. We did a number of what are called Hope 6 projects, and we rebuilt public housing from ground up in some cases. In other cases, we did selective demolition and saved the buildings when they were worthwhile saving. But in all cases, one of the things that made us unique is that we were self-developers. We didn't rely on professional real estate developers because what we did is we took that developer's fee and we poured it right back into the project. So we could do some unique things. We could do some better things as far as the building styles and construction level. And the other unique thing is that we didn't displace anybody. And that's part of the social mission, is we're not going to be building projects and then displacing people without having them, providing them a place to go. And if they want to return, as long as there haven't been any lease violations in their record, they're free to come back, because we don't want to be gentrifying areas and just forcing people out. That's not what we're here for. So in line with that, we are a real estate development company with a social mission. You can read the rest of that, but it's basically collaboration with a creative, or to create innovative housing and neighborhood solutions. So in other words, we're not going to try to force something into an area that's not conducive to building a good neighborhood. Perfect example of that is our West Lawn development, which is 75 acres of rehabilitated and actually demolished and rebuilt housing between 60th and 68th and Silver Spring and Custer Avenue. Our idea is that that's truly an innovative and creative project that will help the entire neighborhood. As evidenced by, we were awarded a C&I grant, which is a Choice Neighborhood Grant from the Housing and Urban Development. It's hard to get those. There were only 5 of them awarded. We were lucky. We got one of the 5 in the country, and the $30 million will go this far in a project that's this big. So we have a lot of work to do, but we're going to take care of it. Our current projects, as I mentioned, Westlawn Gardens Phase 2, we're now working between 64th and 68th Street. All of the demolition is done. We're now building back up. We've got some scattered sites townhomes that are going on the east side between 60th and 64th. Victory Manor is our veterans preference building. It's a 60-unit building on the corner of 68th and Silver Spring. It'll be ready for occupancy in December of this year. And then we have 2 more apartment buildings that are going just east of Victory Manor. Those are 47 units each, and there'll be a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units. So those are what we've got going right now. And I'm going to turn it over to Scott. He's going to list some of our future projects and tell you what we've got going in the future.
My name is Scott Simon. As you were already introduced, I wanted to go through some of the projects that are coming up in the near future. We have, part of our mission as well is to work with other institutions and with other entities and try to assist them in doing development work and construction. One of those that we're working with right now is the Hmong American Peace Academy. They're on 84th and Hampton. They're looking to rebuild their entire campus, and the time frame of starting is in the 2019 time frame, but construction wouldn't begin till 2020. It's a rather large project they're taking on, and there should be some good opportunities for contractors and trades out there. Single-family homes is another thing that we're looking at. We have, and the city has, a number of vacant lots spread out throughout the city. We are trying to find alternatives and solutions to bring costs down and to bring affordability to the neighborhoods. Part of that is working with creative financing, working with alternative building techniques, and trying to see what we can do. And there will be, again, many opportunities coming up in spring of next year for that as well. Right now, we're also working on, and it's not listed, is the Holton Terrace project. That's a 120-unit high-rise that we own off of Holton Avenue. The project will be a renovation. We're looking to do an abatement on a number of the units and turn 24 of the units into fully functioning, handicap-accessible units. So there will be interior work ranging from electric, plumbing, and HVAC through carpentry, cabinetry, and countertops. The remaining 96 units we're going to be doing an upgrade on as well. And if we are lucky enough to be awarded another CNI grant, that project scope will expand significantly. In 2020, we have, in the same West Lawn Gardens project that Warren was referring to before, we'll have 2 market rate projects. One of them will be a wellness center on the first floor with multifamily above. The footprint will be about 18,000 square feet with 2 stories of multifamily above that footprint on the corner of 64th and Silver Spring. We're in the initial planning stages, and we are looking to try to find people that we can work with in the near future that will help us with pricing and to keep our costs in line there as well. The second multifamily market rate will be on 60th and Custer. That will be between 38 and 42 units of market rate as well. Again, early planning stages, so we will be keeping you updated, and it will be publicly shown when we have anything going forward. In 2021 and 2022, we're looking at various locations. We can't pinpoint where we are, but we're actively trying to see what we can create and what we can take in turn from a average or dating asset into something new. So as those move forward, we'll keep you informed as well. Let me turn you back to Warren as well, and he'll talk about our future other projects that we have. Thank you.
We have a series of, because I forgot to mention before, is that Travaux is really a subsidiary or an affiliate of the Housing Authority. So that's something key to remember. While we are our own, we have our own board, we have our own funding opportunities and authorities, we still are, under the auspices of the Housing Authority. And as such, we're in charge of doing the development and what they call modernization in HUD language of our existing, the Housing Authority's existing inventory of buildings. So a lot of these development projects that you see here are existing Housing Authority buildings that need a variety of different things. For instance, roofing at several of our mid-rises and our high-rises, Beecher Court, our Central Support Office, which is a low-rise building, Riverview, a very tall high-rise, Park Lawn YMCA, building restoration and repairs. The city of Milwaukee has an interesting code that requires all buildings higher than 6 stories, 5 stories to go through an examination that finds a lot of different details that we have to do. and repairs that we have to do. And so we'll be doing several of our high-rises over the next couple of years. Lincoln Court will come up. Our community services building needs some water infiltration remediation. Hillside Terrace Family Resource Center, again, some water infiltration remediation. Parking structure repairs or structural repairs done on a parking structure that was built in 1999. And then our HVAC improvements. As you can imagine, we have 2 tall high-rises there. They're pretty substantial jobs. These are all HUD funded, direct HUD funded. They're part of our what's called the Housing Authority's Capital Fund projects. So they will be completely funded by HUD, and there are rules and regulations to follow. And I want to make sure that everybody's aware of those. So what I'm going to do is introduce our administrator, David Flores, who's been with the Housing Authority for 24 years and knows more about contracting and bidding procedures than anybody. And David, if you can speak into this microphone, it's mic'd up. So.
I'm not used to using a mic. I don't really need one, but. Thank you, Warren. I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the bidding requirements for all the work. So Scott and Warren have told you all the sexy part about everything that's coming up, and I'm here to rain on that parade a little bit, just to remind you that there are some significant, daunting, but not insuperable requirements related to bidding. I just want to repeat what Warren said earlier, which is that Travaux is an instrumentality of the Housing Authority of the City of Milwaukee, which means that both of them are considered government entities. And as such, both of them are subject to local, state, federal statutes and regulations, as well as whatever requirements are attached to the funding that either entity receives for the projects that we are constructing. And a lot of people ask me, why is this so hard to bid on these projects? And the answer that I try to give people is that we have to be accountable. We are accountable to the population, because we are government entities, and we are accountable to the taxpayers, which is every single person in this room. And so that's why there are so many seemingly stringent requirements, because we are spending your money collectively, and we're required to follow those regulations to ensure that the money is spent prudently. I also get a lot of questions as to why can't you just give it to us or choose someone and just go with it. I think you all know the answer to that. As government entities, we're required to have public solicitations where everyone has an opportunity to participate. Another question I get, why can't you give it to a women-owned business or a minority-owned business? Just give it to us. The answer, again, is the same. As government entities, we don't have that capability, at least for our structure and the funding we receive. We certainly encourage MBEs, WBEs, EBEs, Section 3 businesses, et cetera, to participate in our bidding. And we will do what we can to accommodate them, but we'll never be able to just give a contract away. And then another question that I get a lot is, why aren't you like the city? People are used to the city, those documents, RPP, their own SBE program. And the answer to that is pretty simple as well. Both the Housing Authority and Travaux are incorporated separately from the city. We are allied to the City of Milwaukee, but we have our own governance, we have our own funding, and consequently, the way that we conduct our bidding is a little different. So I have prepared 4 slides. There's not nearly enough time to go through everything in them, but I did want them to be in the presentation. I believe they're passing out discs or some sort of drive, flash drives. So you can refer to this at any time, but we'll just go through these very, very quickly. So as I indicated, we are responsible for bidding both Travaux and Housing Authority projects. We have 2 major types, which are informal, which is up to and including $150,000. Those can be simple We can often entertain faxed or emailed bids. The requirements might be a little less stringent. And then our formal solicitations, which are $150,000 or more, those are a little more complicated. It's usually a sealed bid, means you have to submit the bid to an actual place at a particular date and time. There may be a bid surety required, typically a bid bond or cashier's check. And if you're the successful bidder, meaning the contract awardee, you will most likely have to provide a performance and payment bond. As I said, the award is to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. Prevailing wages. Some of our projects do fall under Davis-Bacon wages as issued by the Department of Labor. Depends on the dollar amount and the funding, and that will always be indicated in the bid documents. As I said earlier, we try to encourage emerging business enterprises to participate in our bidding process. The designations that we're seeking, MBE, WBE, SBE, et cetera, DBE, those are dictated by the funding source, as well as telling us what percentage goal we will have. Also, we encourage Section 3 participation. For those of you who don't know what Section 3 is, it refers to Section 3 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968, which was created, this section, to ensure that economic opportunities go to the residents where HUD dollars are spent, both residents as employees and residents as business owners. So again, depending on the type of funding we have, those requirements might be part of the solicitation. So then I did list all of the bid forms that would be required for a formal solicitation. You can read those because I know you're really excited about reading them. But I won't go through them now, other than to say that they are there for a reason. We don't have people fill out paperwork just to keep you busy or to frustrate you. Again, as I said, we have an accountability standard that we need to meet, and these documents help us meet them. But I don't want you to be discouraged. We are here to help you. We have staff who work on all of these items that you need to know for bidding. In the bid documents themselves, you will find listed exactly what it is you need to look for, fill out. There will be a contact on the procurement side. There will be a contact person on the technical side. And there will be a contact person for any EBE or Section 3 requirements. So we're here to help you. The best time to ask a question is before the bids are due, like maybe more than 6 hours before they're due. A few days would be really helpful for everyone. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew how you can find our bid opportunities. So the best way is to go to our website, the Housing Authority website, which will have listed bids opportunities for both Travaux and the Housing Authority. You can go to the website, you can register, choose the categories in which you're interested, and you will automatically receive an email when something is posted. So you don't even need to work at it, it'll just come straight to you. You can look at it and determine if it's something that you might be interested in bidding on. Our larger projects that need formal process need to be advertised, so you will find our advertisements in the Daily Reporter. So please be sure to check that out daily. And we also send out notifications to contractor exchanges, chambers of commerce, et cetera. So if you belong to one of those, check those out as well, because we try to incorporate them in our distribution. So that's a lot, more time than I meant to take, but I wanted to at least make sure that you knew the basics, and I'll turn it back to Warren.
There's something that David said that I really want to emphasize, and that is our rules and regulations regarding bidding are dependent on the funding source. Scott is very actively looking for alternative projects that will not be dependent on HUD financing or other governmental financing. So at some time in the future, very near future, I would imagine, there will be projects that will bid, and you'll see them on the Hackham site for Travaux, that will not have all of the requirements. Now, and that's why it's important to, if you have questions, ask, because it might not be delineated explicitly on the website, but there could be some there. So I just want to emphasize that. We don't do that to confuse you. We do that so that we try to minimize the amount of paperwork that's required. I just want to end out on two testimonials from great contractors that have been working with us out at West Lawn. Bowman and Vic and Oostburg Concrete Products have done a lot of work for us in the last year and a half. I think it would be fair to say that both of them had some concerns about working with the Housing Authority in Travaux when they first started. But after they worked with us for a while, they found that it wasn't, we weren't the devil. We actually do try to help contractors, and we want to make sure they get paid, and it's not as onerous as many might be thinking. But in any event, that's the testimonials from a couple good contractors. I want to thank you for attending our presentation, and I want to open it up for questions for any of us, David, Scott, or myself, and look forward to answering them. Wow. Yes, sir.
What percentage of your projects have Davis-Bacon prevailing wage requirements?
Any of them that are HUD funded will be Davis-Bacon.
And anything that's over $2,000. So the percentage is this big. I couldn't tell you exactly how many, but just about all of them.
Oh, come on, there's got to be more than that. I mean, gee. Yes.
So piggybacking off of his question, how many of the projects have a percentage of Section 3 workers as well as Section 3 businesses on the project?
Right now, I would say, are you asking how many
Like-
percentage of projects have
No,
the requirements?
what's the percentage on a project?
If Section 3 applies for that, I'm sorry, I can't forget. If Section 3 applies to a project that we have out for bids, the percentage goal for contracting is 10% on construction contracts. And the goal for hires, any new hires associated with that project, is 30% of new hires.
So what percentage of the project would you guess or estimate?
At the moment, I would say that probably 80% of our projects out for bids have Section 3.